Abram, with such great skill, attacks in the middle of the night, dividing up his army in just such a way that he routs them and is able to take all those possessions back. And now he's totally successful. And he could be tempted to say to himself, like, look at me. Look at who I am. I am so awesome. I am such a great guy. But this Melchizedek, and again, he's this mysterious figure, shows up and he says, it wasn't you. Blessed be God Most High, who, verse 20, delivered your enemies into your hand. You want to know what? It was God who gave you the ability. It was God who did this work so that you were able to recover these goods and Lot and these possessions and the women of these towns. And it says here that Abram gave him a tenth of everything. He gave a tithe to this priest, Melchizedek. And I think here Abram passes this test of success. He recognized that what Melchizedek said is true. Everything he was able to get back was because of God. And so he doesn't want to say to himself, man, look at what I've done. This is all mine. I deserve it. I've earned it. I've pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I've become somebody. He says, you know what? It's God's. And as a way of acknowledging that it's God, he says, look, from what God's given me, here's a portion. And earlier today in worship, we had the opportunity to do the same kind of thing. To acknowledge that, man, everything that we have, every success we've had, every resource he's given us, it's all from God. And we ought not to think, man, it's because of how great I am, or look at my talents, or look at how smart I am. No, it's not from us, it's from God. And so there's this practice that starts here of tithing, of giving back, of just acknowledging, yes, God is the one who's in control. Now, back to Dr. Evil. So he comes up, and it's such a stark contrast here. So Melchizedek actually comes and brings something, bread and wine, and blesses Abram. Dr. Evil comes up, and he wants to make a pact. Okay, you've won. Now, look at verse 21. The king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. In other words, hey, let's become partners. Here, I'll give you this, you take that, we'll be equals, we'll both be kings, let's have a relationship with each other, we'll have a treaty. And Abram wants nothing to do with it. Look at his response. He says to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and have taken an oath that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or a thong of a sandal, so that you will never be able to say, I made Abram rich. I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten, and what share belongs to the men who are with me, to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. They can have their share, but I'm not taking anything. Like I'm not going to come into a relationship where I start thinking to myself that, yeah, I've made myself who I am, and I in some way or another owe it to my friends. It's all God. It's all God. Now, so that we can keep focusing on the big picture here. This, to me, is just a great, great story of Abraham, not only facing this test of war, but then also this test of success. And just a few different ideas. First, this idea of God's providence, right? That all these affairs that are happening, there's this recognition that God is the one who's in control. And there's this doctrine, it's a teaching all throughout the Bible, called the doctrine or teaching of providence. I'm going to put a definition up here on the screen, and I want you to think about it with me. Providence is the almighty and ever-present power of God, by which he upholds, as with his hand, heaven and earth and all creatures, and so rules them, that leaf and blade, even the tiniest little details and things, rain and drought, fruitful and lean years, food and drink, health and sickness, prosperity and poverty, all things, in fact, come to us not by chance, but from his fatherly hand. By the way, this is taken from our Heidelberg Catechism as a definition of providence. And I love this definition. It just acknowledges that even in the tiniest details, leaf and blade, or even in the big things of which we have no control, is going to be a fruitful year or a lean year. Is there going to be health or sickness? These are things over which we have no control. And this acknowledges none of this is happening by chance. World wars, world economies, weather, drought, abundance, riches, none of it's happening by chance. It's all from God. Well, I want you to think about this, how this might impact your everyday life. 3 things. First, we can be patient when things go against us. And for many of us who've come through these doors today, it may seem like, man, the world is stacked up against me. And you may even have the sense like, there's so many things that are out of my control, and just, man, it's all going in a way I wouldn't want it to go. And you may be upset, you may want to manipulate people, you may want to make people feel guilty or try and turn it another way. If you really understand that God's in control and that He's directing the path of your life, the events of world history, then you can be patient when things aren't going well. Another idea. We can be thankful when things go well. This, I think, is related to Abram's test of success. You know, when things are going really well, do I say, yeah, okay, that's me. I'm the one who did this. Or do you say, no. These are all blessings from God. And I think especially those of us who live in the United States, who have all the things that we have, we just regularly need to count our blessings. To recognize how many things, I mean, yes, we're all great people, but how many things were not in our control at all, though, where we were born, the families that we had, the opportunities that came our way, we didn't create these things. They're all blessings that God's given to us. One more idea. We've talked about the past and the present, but also the future. For the future, we can have good confidence in our faithful God and Father that nothing is going to separate us from His love. And I think how much time we spend about worrying about the future. Will this happen or that happen? We worry about it because we can't control it. If you understand that God's in control and He's directing everything and that we're His and we belong to Him and He's working everything to our good purpose, those who love Him and honor Him, then as we look forward to the future, we don't need to be fearful or scared or worry or filled with anxiety because God's in control. A couple of other thoughts, particularly about this test of success. And again, I think this is something that we often need to face. I think, for example, of the Apostle Paul. If there was ever a person who was born in the right place at the right time, who had the right education, who could boast in what he was able to do, I think it might be the Apostle Paul. But I want to just kind of put up on the screen here a verse and just direct your thoughts toward this. At one point he says, although I am less than the least of all God's people, this was a grace given to me to preach to the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ. I mean, most of us think to ourselves, man, the Apostle Paul, I'm not even close to him. I mean, think of the success he had in starting churches and witnessing for Jesus. And we may think, man, I'm nobody compared to him. And he says, although I am less than the least. That's how, he didn't take his success and say, look at me. But he kept this kind of humble heart. I'll return once again to some of these verses we've had throughout the service. Romans 11:36. For from Him and through Him and to Him are all things. To Him be the glory forever. Amen. Not from me and to me and through me, but from Him and to Him and through Him. And then this overriding thought that I started off with from the Gospel of John. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing.